Hello. The next information about stalls is from Stick and Rudder, Wolfgang Languish. Pretty awesome book. He starts out by saying, it would probably be good for beginner students to get some experience with this kind of flying quite early, even before starting on landings. It might not pay off immediately in actual flight skill, but it certainly will pay off by giving the student a better understanding of the whole process of flight. In the course of ordinary flight training, the student experiences very slow flight rarely, and only for moments at a time. He gets it during landings, during stall practice, and also perhaps sometimes on a takeoff when he has lifted the ship prematurely, nose high, or at too low a speed. In all these cases, he does not stay in this condition. On the contrary, in all these cases, he tries to get out of it, either trying to stall the airplane, as in landings and in stall practice, or else trying to recover normal flight, as after a premature nose-high takeoff. Hence, he may come to think that an airplane cannot maintain the flight condition steadily, that if it were held thus for more than a few seconds, it would stall. And if he believes that, he misses the main point of the whole art of flying. If a student were given 5 minutes of very slow level flight, a few times before starting him out on landings, it might even pay out directly in actual skill. Here's why. The time a student actually spends on landing during his whole elementary flight training amounts only to something like 10 minutes. This means, of course, the time spent on actual landing processes, not on rolling on the ground and takeoffs and circuits of the airport and approach glides, but on the actual landing process, leveling off and holding off. No wonder landing seems so difficult. The entire process of the three-point landing is essentially one of slow and still slower flight. Flight at high and still higher angle of attack, all the time exercising very accurate control over the flight path. Yet at the time when the student first tries landings, he has practically no experience at all in flight at medium or high angle of attack. Thus he must learn 3 things all at once, all of them brand new. First, that the airplane can fly in this fashion at all. Second, how it responds to the controls in this kind of flight. Third, how to judge its flight path so that contact with the ground will be smooth. He has to get acquainted with flight at high angle of attack under the most difficult condition, that is, near the ground. And he has to get acquainted with the ground under the most difficult condition while it's flying at high angle of attack. True, the instructor usually prepares the student by giving him some power-off stalls at altitude before giving him landings. This is no doubt better than no preparation at all, but it still does not give the student much chance to become really at home in slow, nose-high flight. For in stall practice, too, the ship goes through the whole range of angles of attack rather fast. Sometimes such practice may even reinforce the idea that whenever the nose is high, a stall will inevitably result within a few seconds. Next page. Why do we stall? Suppose now you make a final experiment at a safe altitude. Set your throttle for about 100 RPM and now try to maintain your altitude. You know what will happen? It can't be done. In the attempt to maintain altitude, you'll pull the stick back, the airplane will slow up, you'll have to pull the stick back further still, the nose still higher, and eventually you will stall. What too many pilots do not understand is just why the stall really occurs and how it is tied up in this whole matter of angle of attack. For the fact is that angle of attack, which is the key to so many things in flying, is the key also to the puzzle of the stall.